Thank you everybody for being here, and thank you Ricardo and everybody for joining us for change for the invitation. I'll be briefly speaking a little bit about social innovation in Brazil, bringing some learnings and cases, and also giving my point of view about the sector nowadays and how we see this unfolding in the following years. So as Ricardo mentioned, I'm Rebecca, and I'm the Brazil chapter coordinator for the Aspen Network of Development Entrepreneurs. And we are basically a global network of organizations that support small and growing business in emerging markets. We have about 200 organizations among accelerators, investors, corporations, foundations, some universities that somehow give capacity or investment to this business. And we expect this business to generate a social positive impact in their communities. So because of that reason, we talk a lot about social innovation, impact investment, social business. So these are all topics that our members and we as ANDI discuss a lot, and especially here in Brazil. And so the points that I will discuss today, it's what is social innovation in my point of view, also a little bit about social innovation in Brazil, some examples of a business that are being innovative and creating this social impact, and the 5 key learnings that it's also a little bit how Brazil is evolving in social innovation and how I see this topic developing the following years. So basically, we see social innovation as a new way to solve the problems, especially here in Brazil. In the past 10 years, Brazil had a great economic development, but we are still a very unequal country, and we have a lot of social problems that are really basic and that we need to solve that to go to the next level as a country and as an economy. So we see the social innovation as a way to, change this system and change these problems and solve these problems. So just to give you a little bit about Brazil and this overview, it's so we have about 8% of our population in the base of the pyramid. So that means that the top of this person, the base of the pyramid, they earn less than $10 a day. And I choose 4 sectors in Brazil that are really important for a social development, and actually are the sectors that our members and the accelerators and the investors are working more. And to you have an idea, in education, for example, we have 13 million illiterate adults. In housing, we have a deficit of 5 million houses, but we have 16 million houses that are with problems and has no conditions for people to live. And health, we have 75% of the population using only the public system. And that means that we need a really good public health system to attend these people, and it's not the reality today. And in finance, we have about 36% of the population, they don't even have a bank account. So these are basic challenges that Brazil face nowadays, and social innovation, it's a way to solve these challenges. So when we talk about social innovation in Brazil, the main statement is that the government won't be able to solve all the social problems. So usually Brazilians, they have this expectation that the government will solve everything, will provide good education, good health, and because we pay so many taxes. But Brazilians started to realize that we need to be more proactive in solving these problems, and the government will not be able to solve this. So in 2005, because of Muhammad Yunus, because of the Prahalad book, the social innovation mood started here in Brazil. but it started very small with a few organizations discussing and a few group of people interested in this topic. But we started to have some organizations such as Artemisia, the Hub, Vox Capital interested in this topic and starting doing something. But since 2012, actually, it's very recent, we started to have a lot of organizations discussing this topic in Brazil. So we have now more foundations, corporations, and even universities that they didn't discuss this topic at all, bringing this discussion to their students, creating new classes about the topic. So we see now a very interesting movement around social innovation in Brazil, but we see that it is still very concentrated in the southeast of Brazil, especially São Paulo, because it's the biggest city, because there is a lot of the economy here is very strong, is a financial center, but it's still really concentrated here. And we see now, since last year, a movement of organizations trying to expand the topic to other regions. So Recife, for example, is another city in the northeast of Brazil that we start to see Artemisia opening an office there and trying to bring the concept. Some universities interested in this concept, and this is a good. It's a good point, but we see that we still need to expand more. And in social innovation specifically, we see some demands for talent development, not only for the entrepreneurs, like develop more these entrepreneurs, but also to have more talent to work in this business and also to work in the accelerators and the investors, and having this look about social innovation and this understanding about the topic. The dialogue with the government is still very hard when you have an innovative solution, and sometimes they feel that it's really expensive. They don't understand the innovation, so they don't want to partner with the entrepreneur. And the seed capital, the seed investment is also really hard. So we we see that there is the possibility to have a lot of new ideas being sponsored, invested, but we still don't have these investors or organizations that are able to invest in these entrepreneurs. And these are some needs that are being pointed, and it's a possibility for the sector to develop even more. Here I brought some two examples that are like business that are working with social innovation in Brazil, and two sectors that are really important for social innovation in Brazil, that it's education and health. The first one is Geeky. They work on the education sector, and basically it's an adaptive learning platform that it's the first one that was created in Brazil, and it's focused in the students in the high school and help them to understand where they're facing more difficult, where the teacher should help that student, and makes the school being more strategic in the support to this student. And the main impact is that they are now able to make partnerships with the public system, with public schools. So they are already reaching over 2 million students in the public schools and 13,000 public schools. And this is really important because over 90% of the students in Brazil, they are studying in the public school. So if we want to generate an impact, we need to be able to make these partnerships and think in solutions for this public. And Geeky, it's being able to do that, and they are also being very scalable. So their business is actually being a good business in terms of revenue, but also a good business in terms of innovation and impact for the society. The second one, that it's Doutor Consulta, it's on the health sector, and they are like medical clinics focusing the people of the base of the pyramid. So that 80% that I mentioned in the beginning, the 75% that only have access to the public health system in Brazil, they also have the Doutor Consulta as a second option. So they offer a very quality service, but also very affordable. So people, they pay maximum of 40 reais, that is less than $20, and they have an appointment with the doctor, but they also can make some exams in the clinics. And the good thing is that these clinics, they are located in the community. So they don't need to take a bus to go very far away to get an appointment with a doctor, but it's very near to their houses. And this in Brazil, it's really important because the traffic, because a lot of things, it's really hard to get in these places. And they started to think of very strategically and trying to understand the needs of these people, that it's really important for an entrepreneur here in Brazil, especially when you work with social innovation. And to finish my presentation, the last point is the 5 key learnings in Brazil. So in my point of view, I have 5 main points. That the first one is that actually the sector is really growing and growing really fast. So from 4 years to now, we see a lot of players. Like I can say that we have like 200% more players in the sector. And link it to the second point, we see more mainstream organizations interested in this topic. So we have more banks working with social innovation. We have more corporations interested in developing solutions, and we have the universities that somehow they were very traditional. They are now looking at new ways, bringing their students to the low-income communities to connect with these people, understand their needs. So we see that there is a huge potential for this sector in Brazil. And as I mentioned, we are very concentrated in the southeast, so we have a lot of other regions to explore also these possibilities and create innovative business. The challenge is that we still need to invest in more talent development. So we still have a few accelerators and incubators that understands the social innovation concept and try to educate their entrepreneurs in that level. And even the investors, they somehow don't understand. A lot of times they're not interested, or they're not able to invest because they don't understand the concept. So we need to educate more, and we need to inspire more the students to develop their talent and bring them to this sector. So this is something that the local sector should work more. And the innovation itself, it's a challenge in Brazil. So because of the bureaucracy that we face in the public system, or even in some corporations and universities, it's hard to be innovative in Brazil, and we do not stimulate the entrepreneurship or the innovation. And it's something that we need to work to have more innovation being developed independent of it, if it's social or not. And because if we have more innovation, we will have more social entrepreneurs, we will have more social solutions. And it's a challenge that we face, and we need to work on that. And the 5 key learning, it's that the dialogue and partnership with government is really important, because we still have a large part of our population depending on the public solutions, and we need to make these partnerships with them and know how to dialogue with the government to develop more impactful solutions for our society. And this is something that we see as very important for this sector in the following years. And I believe that's it. And I'm open for any questions that you may have now. And I want to thank you for your attention. Thanks.
Thank you, Rebecca. I'll be just asking the questions that are coming up. So if you have any questions about social innovation in Brazil, anything that you want to know specifically for your venture or for the work that you're doing, or if you're looking for partnerships in Brazil, or anything related to your doubts, you'll be taking some time now. I think around 10 minutes to reply to those points. So the first question is from Tom. So Tom, he wants to know a bit more about how what is the current situation, what's the current government attitude, if it's being helpful or neutral or resentful, or how is the government dealing with social innovation in Brazil? Is it supporting or not? And whether what's the prediction for the future, if there's anything in the future that we think will be different.
Yeah, we see that the government is actually being more interested in this topic. So, for example, there is a department here called FINEP that they are very focused in trying to develop the innovation, but it's very focused in technology. And they are now, but they usually just support big business, big corporations that are trying to develop something new. And we see now that they are looking at the small business, they are being able to talk to, for example, Artemisia and other accelerators that are, connected to social entrepreneurs, social business, and they are trying to understand more the concept. The same with the National Development Bank, the BNDES. They are now participating in some events. They are discussing with some people. Like eh, everything in Brazil is a little bit, slow motion in terms of government because it's a huge and very complex institution. But they are trying. And for example, Sebrae is also creating a department of social business, and they are now able to invest in social business and trying to expand the concept. And this is really interesting because Sebrae has offices in every single place in Brazil. So when I mentioned the need to expand the concept to other regions, Sebrae is a key actor that could help us to, spread the message, is inspiring people and trying to bring more social innovation. So yeah, the government is a little bit slow, but it's trying to understand, invest, and get involved with this concept. And when we go to the city level, for example, in Recife, they are trying to bring a lot of social innovation. So we see more active role from the government in Recife and in other cities. They are like doing partnership, developing strategies to try to, to bring new entrepreneurs and new ventures that are innovative and are helping them to solve some social problems. So yeah, and I see that in the following years this will increase. So we will have more investments from the government, we will have more projects from the government on that level. I see a very positive scenario for social innovation in Brazil in the following years, and I see the government very engaged on that.
Yeah, and Rebecca, Elisa is also asking whether whether think we have seen any new idea, or if there was any new idea on how to challenge the bureaucracy that we face in Brazil.
Yeah, so I'm participating in a task force here in Brazil that it's being led by ICE, that is a center of entrepreneurial citizenship, and they are trying to they are trying to map the key barriers that entrepreneurs and social entrepreneurs they face in Brazil. And from these barriers, they are trying to develop a set of recommendations for the government with the key topics that we need or the key changes that we need for the sector. So there is a lot of, like we still don't have everybody an agreement about if we should change the law in terms of give discount or incentives to social entrepreneurs or social business. And but we are trying especially to make it easier to be an entrepreneur in Brazil, because I think this is the first step. Like the problem is that it's hard to open an organization here. It's hard to close an organization, and the entrepreneur pays a lot of taxes. And this makes very hard to be an entrepreneur in Brazil. And prior to thinking in social innovation or in social business, it's important for the whole sector to try to make it easier. So we are trying to come up with basic recommendations like we need to open organization, a new business faster. So today we take over 100 days to open a new business, and we want to make it in 3, 5 days. Or we want to make the taxes more simple to make the entrepreneur, more comfortable opening their business. So these are the topics that we are trying to bring to the government and bring like really important people, really high executives to help us bring in these recommendations to the government. So this is now what the sector is trying to do. And this year we have elections, so maybe we can get something, but it's still a slow process.
Yeah, it looks like the process in Brazil actually needs to take the support of the government. Um, So there's another question here from Ajit, who is asking, so how do the social enterprises, they get access to rural and underserved communities, mainly when they are offering low-cost innovative products?
When they get to rural and
Yeah, how do they expand actually their networks into rural and underserved areas of Brazil? Like, is there any sort of network, or how do they get access to offer their products based on the examples that you have given, or on the Aspen experience? How do they get access to those communities where it's not easy to reach, or in different areas of Brazil and even in the slum areas in the big cities?
Yeah, this is actually quite challenging because most of the entrepreneurs, the social entrepreneurs that we have, they come from the upper class. So they usually in their networks and everything, they don't have contact with the people from the base of the pyramid. And sometimes they even don't understand actually their needs. So they try one product and they see that it's not what they need. So they come back, they make some change and they offer again. So there is a lot of, in these small communities, they have one leader and they have associations. So usually the entrepreneurs, they try to get in contact with these associations and with other people that are connected to these communities. So, and they also talk to some, NGOs that already have a work in that specific place or in that specific community. And it's the way that they work to try not only to have them as a client, but even to understand what they actually need to develop a very customized product for them. The other point is that some entrepreneurs, they come up with a solution from one challenge that they face. So, for example, the Doutor Consulta, it's an example of he already used it to work with people from the base of the pyramid, and he decided to create this business because he identified this opportunity and this need. So there is two levels of entrepreneurs: the ones that are already connected to these people and the ones that they need to approach with these leaders from the community.
Cool. Rebecca, Ritika wants to know more about the Geeky model, if how they have facilitated the process of helping students with educational difficulties, given that the system itself of education is a bit flawed in Brazil.
So yeah, so it's an online platform that they have some tests, and from these tests, they give a rate to the students, and these students, and this rate goes to the teacher and to the director from the school. So they have access, and they know how that student needs to, face more difficult, and how they need to develop the study plan and everything. So it's a very customized work for the teachers and for the schools. It's pretty challenging because here in Brazil, the education model, it's a very traditional. So it's the teacher in the front of the class speaking to everybody the same topic. And the geeky model tells to the teacher and to the school that they should try to teach differently each student. So the model that the classes works needs to be totally, modified. And it's these consultants, they also give to the schools. And they have another one that is a preparation for the main test that every student has to take in Brazil to join universities. So they also have this preparation plan that it's like the student with the platform, and there is no connection with the school. And basically the revenue comes from the school. So the school pays for each student using their platform, and they have their revenue from that.
So the next question is from Matthew. So he's asking us, what are the national heroes of social innovation in Brazil? Who are the famous ones?
So yeah, we have some. So there is another one. So we have a lot of entrepreneurs that are doing a really great work, other than Geeky and then the Doutor Consulta. We have also Saútil, that it's a website that gives all the information about the public system in Brazil, because this information is very hard to find. So sometimes people doesn't know that they can get an exam for free, or they can get a medication for free, and Saúde provides this information. We have, for example, it's a Gambiologia. I don't know, like I can send you the list of other business, because like I don't know if you're gonna get that in Portuguese, but it's they share services and products for the base of the pyramid. So they create a network where people can offer and learn more about the base of the pyramid in Brazil. And we have a lot of entrepreneurs trying to, build new solutions in housing, and trying to, build actually new houses, and trying to give offer more renewal in housings in Brazil as well. And we have the organizations that are supporting this field. So we have more accelerators. Artemisa is the first one, but we have PIPA, that is another accelerator. We have the Hub, even Endeavor, it's starting a new project for the base of the pyramid, and Potencia, that gives a lot of grants and trying to invest in talent development. So these organizations, they are fundamental for the sector in Brazil nowadays. They invested, they were pioneer, like they have been working for at least 5 years in the market, and they are now trying to build more this sector in Brazil. And for sure they had a very important role in this sector and how the sector it is now.
Okay, so we have some questions regarding the support which is given by the government or by incubators to startups, the initial support. So Rebecca, if you can tell us a little bit about what sort of support is there today from the government and from companies that are targeted at startups, for startups in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so for example, in terms of government, last year the government started a very nice program that it's called Startup Brazil, and they select every 6 months they select 10 accelerators that will support startups in Brazil, and each business selected by these startups, they receive a 250,000 reais, that it's about $100,000 grant to start their business, to invest in staff, to invest in technologies. So this is a really important investment for innovative startups. And for example, People was part of this program, and they were able to select some and social entrepreneurs and invest in these entrepreneurs. And so this is one of the main programs in Brazil that are supported by the government, from the government, and it's making a really important development in the startups in Brazil. And we have like a few accelerators that are looking to social business and social innovation in Brazil today. So we have Artemisia, we have PIPA, and the Hub is also, they have an acceleration program. And they are the players who are, reaching the social entrepreneurs in the very early stage level and trying to make this entrepreneur like to develop their business plan, to develop their model, and trying to make them more visible to the community, to the investors, to make them investment ready, and reach the investors that are able, like the impact investors that are trying and looking for this type of entrepreneurs, and make their business scalable. So we still have a few accelerators doing this work here in Brazil, but they have been doing very great, and they have been able to find really interesting business, and they have also been doing a work to inspire people. So they have some courses, they have been working talent development. So they're not only looking at the entrepreneurs, but at the field itself, building some knowledge, trying to give some information, reach the mainstream. So their work have been like beyond capacity development and investment. It's really trying to inspire the whole society to look at social innovation.
Yeah, so we'll be taking now, I think at least like 2 or 3 more questions. So the webinar, actually the time, we have run out of time, but if you still want to continue with us and get those questions sorted, you can, or if you're not able to go through all the questions, we also can send you the replies later on. But we'll be taking 2 or 3 questions now, so everybody is invited to go with us a little bit longer in the webinar. So there's one more question related to the support. Like Lois is asking about how much social media has been used to support and to spread the social enterprise message to the BOP in Brazil, and is the BOP using social media?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the BOP use a lot of social media, especially Facebook, and they use internet. Of course, it's like the younger generations, like the older people, they don't use that much, but they still use, or they ask to their grandson or to their sons to, look for information for them. So that's why Saúde, they have an online platform and have been very successful. Like they are now scaling their business. And we have another business called Conquero that is focused in financial information for the base of the pyramid. And it's a portal with a lot of financial information for people from the base of the pyramid. So they access this information, and they get a lot of information from the Facebook. So they post information on Facebook, people click on the link and go to the portal, and from the portal they go to the bank and get, like, they have more conscience about what they want and how they should use their money, and this generate a huge impact in these people. And we still have a few business exploring social media to reach their customers, but it is a potential channel here in Brazil because they use that. And also we have a challenge with the quality of internet here. Our internet generally is not that good, and this is something that needs improvement to we reach more the base of the pyramid.
There's a question, Tom and Ajit, they're asking a bit about how is the non-profit sector in Brazil, the charity sector in Brazil, if it's significant and if they are working also on social innovation challenges, or they are more working on charity work, and what's the role of CSR, how CSR is supporting social innovation and social entrepreneurship in Brazil?
Okay. Yeah, like we have two sides of the social sector, the charity sector in Brazil. So we have the NGOs, and NGOs they are becoming more professional, and they are trying to turn their projects into business. So they are trying to get some revenue to make their projects more sustainable. So we have seen some examples on that. CDI LAM, for example, it's one of these examples. We have other organizations that have been trying to become more professional, or even to link their projects with a social business model, for example. And this is really interesting because we have seen the social sector becoming more sustainable, financially sustainable. Also, the projects, they have more, a long-term duration, and this is really interesting. On the other hand, in terms of the funders, so foundations and high net worth individuals, they here in Brazil, like it's not like in the US, for example, that uh, give money for charity is something really common, and there is a lot of that. The organizations here, they try sometimes to take the project to them and not give money to others' projects. So it's hard sometimes to have this fundraising, and it's still hard to get money for social innovation from foundations. We have nowadays more foundations interested in the topic and able to invest on that, but it's still very few when we look at the spectrum, when we look at the all the foundations that we have in Brazil. We still see that they're allocating their money to, regular business or business in the very small cities, and they are not looking at potential social business that they could invest, and they could, expand this business and make them more sustainable. So they are not, is still a concept that we need to reach more in these foundations. And the corporations, they are also starting to look at it. So we still have a few corporations. One example is Telefonica. Here in Brazil, they are very interested in the topic. They already made an investment, for example, in Geeky, and they are supporting some events in the sector here, and they are really trying to invest in the social innovation and in social business in Brazil. And because they started that, they are now taking other organizations to look at this field, and we have seen some other organizations interested in trying to do something. And the Coca-Cola is another example that they have been doing a very interesting work here. They have even a social business director in Brazil, so they put this topic as one area in their organization. So it's not part of the foundation, it's not part of the CSR area. It's a new area, a new department in the organization. It's a social business department. And this is really innovative for all the organizations here in Brazil. They are like a model for other organizations. And this is interesting because it's Coke, so it's like a huge corporation looking different to the sector, and they are pushing other organizations to do the same. So I see that in the following years, we're going to have a lot of corporations, and I hope that foundations are also investing and bringing this topic to their, daily work.
Joe is asking if there are any tax incentives for social enterprise investment based on what you have seen in a meeting with Vox Capital.
If there is what incentive? Sorry.
Tax incentives
Tax.
from the government. Yeah.
No, we don't. We are actually discussing if we would like to have that. But for angel investors, they are trying to get this tax incentive. So if we make an impact investment nowadays, there is no difference for any other type of investment that you make. But there is a network of angel investors here in Brazil that they are trying to get these incentives for angel investors. And this will be a really important path, but it's still in the very beginning. They like submitted the proposal, but we don't have any answer from that.
Emily is wondering a little bit about how the intellectual property works in Brazil in terms of innovation. If the social entrepreneurs who are creating new products and new ideas are ensured to have their innovation recognized.
Mm. No, actually, that's not a topic that people have been discussed. I think it's because also we didn't have any case where we needed to, take a decision or someone took the property from other, but there is nothing on that as far as I know.
Okay, so we're closing with Laura's question. He's asking, he's just wondering how can we reverse the structure, because you mentioned that the upper class is trying to reach the bottom of the pyramid. Uh, and how can not the upper class, but other people in the structure itself get the seed funding?
Mm-hmm. That's quite interesting. Yeah, we have this discussion because we want more entrepreneurs from the base of the pyramid, not people from the upper class only offering to the base of the pyramid, but we have a lot of creative people in the base of the pyramid doing a lot of projects, and they are really able to make innovative solutions. And there is some organizations that are trying to develop their skills, and some universities also trying to reach and trying to stimulate people from the base of the pyramid to become entrepreneurs. And this is a movement that I believe will increase in the following years, because now it's getting easier to connect with the base of the pyramid. So in Rio, the favelas are now more peaceful, so it's easier to be in contact. We are trying to break the walls that we have between the base of the pyramid and the upper class. And I believe that this connection and bringing this knowledge and helping them support these entrepreneurs and trying to identify these entrepreneurs in the low income communities will become more and more common in the following years. And we start to see some projects coming from the base of the pyramid.
Okay, thank you, Rebecca. Thank you for answering all the questions, and thank you for the insights into social innovation in Brazil.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here and for the questions. Was really interesting.
Yeah, so the Journeys for Change. So we are coming to Brazil now in May and beginning of June. As I said, we're partnering with a local learning ventures social business in Brazil that does learning ventures in Brazil and outside of Brazil. And we'll be taking leaders on an 8-day journey to meet some of the social entrepreneurs, some of them that we spoke about in the call today. So if you have any interest in joining us or in knowing more about the journey or about the specific work of any social entrepreneur in Brazil, we'd be happy to connect you and share more information. So for the journey specifically, I'll be sending a note on the journey, I guess today or tomorrow, with more details on how you can join us in Brazil if you're interested in June. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Rebecca. And thank you, everyone. So we're ending our webinar. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye-bye.